Has anyone heard the phrase a conscious spending plan? And does anybody know what it actually means? This is a phrase I picked up from a guy called Ramit Sethi. I hope I'm getting his name pronounced right. And he wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Now, Ramit actually featured as a guest on Stephen Bartlett's podcast sometime within the last couple of months. It might have been May, June, maybe July 23. He's a personal finance expert. He's written a number of books. But I really liked some of the stuff he was talking about, including this conscious spending plan, which I suppose in some respects is a fancy way of talking about a budget and how you can track what you're actually doing. And he's talking about that in particular in relation to your personal finances. Now, in the book, he recommends a personal finance tool, which actually has a bank feed with your personal bank account. And it helps you to go in, link up your account, and then tag your transactions on the categories, and gives you a good and sometimes a scary overview of how much you're spending in certain areas. You can design the categories to be whatever way you want. So you can sort of have your overall cost of living home being your rent and mortgage and utilities. And then you can have categories for debt payments and savings or investments. And you can have your groceries, you can have your personal care stuff, holidays, anything at all it's you're spending money on through your personal account or even through your credit card. You can categorize that. And he then goes into the sort of a template for what you should be spending. 50 to 60% of your net take home income should be on your cost of living. So that's your food, shelter, utilities type of thing. And if you're not there, then there's steps to go through to kind of get there. But I really want to take that information and use it in relation to joining dots for clients of Satori between how much is the business generating at the moment, how much do you have to set aside for taxes and for a slush fund in the business, how much can you really afford to take home, how can we change those numbers in order to improve your personal financial situation and have everything kind of covered in these kind of ratios. So I'm looking forward to designing our services to be able to do that with clients, and it's going to be a much more all-inclusive service. And I have particular feelings around this because in my late teens and early 20s, based on the age that I was and the total inexperience I had of handling money, I got into some serious debt problems at that point in time before I became a chartered accountant. And I managed to kind of, I suppose, come up with a conscious spending plan for myself at that point in time to get me through that period and to be able to pay what I had to pay and pay things back. And the truth of the matter is that when I was younger, as for many people, it's the same kind of predicament. You don't get taught about money at school. My parents were both unemployed and didn't really have to work off a conscious spending plan. They kind of lived off the money that they had. When I started, getting through my exams and got a job and started earning and putting money towards the house and so on, I also got offered credit. I bought hi-fi systems. I bought stuff that I thought was great to have. I bought a new car when I was 20 at nearly £200 a month. And I'm talking, nearly 30 years ago. So I had no idea about how I should have been actually operating. But I remember my parents actually saying to me, no, if you ever want anything, you just say up and get it. And that advice still stands today and is covered in this book as well. So if anybody was interested, I think it's a great book to get. But it's an interesting concept to be aware of, a conscious spending plan. You should have one for your business and they help your business to create the life that you want. And you should have one in your personal life to create, the experiences and also to provide for your future and for your kids. This is the type of stuff I'm going to be working on with clients of Satori. A few people have already expressed an interest that this is what they want to look at. I'm going to give them a sort of money life map as to how they are now versus how it looks like they may be towards retirement, and what they need to maybe do now to be able to change those numbers and change that picture as well. So stay tuned as we have more experience on that. And only this week that I actually chatted, it was only this week I spoke to a client, and the client was having some struggles in their business, and I think they become very kind of disenchanted with running their business. And I've just got the client to go away and basically, come up with their own kind of plan. What do you want from your life? And the client was immediately able to say, look, we already generate a certain amount of turnover. We're generating a certain amount of profit. I think if we can stay like that and, improve how we're doing, I'm happy living closer to the studio where we are. And I'm happy walking to work and grabbing a coffee, and having my breakfast on the way down to the studio, and go on holidays here and go out and have dinner here. It was all simple, non-complicated stuff. But that's the first thing you've got to do, and that's the whole concept about being rich. It's not about money, it's about being satisfied and happy with what your life is looking like, or making changes to make it look better for yourself. If that rings a bell with anyone, you want to talk about any further, please just drop me a message. More than happy to have a chat.